Okay. Looks like we're live. Um, you guys can hear me. Everything's good. So, let's. First off, I'm gonna drink this espresso, and then I'm gonna take an Adderall. Just kidding. They don't sell Adderall in Colombia. Whoa, we have 60 concurrent viewers. Um. So, I'm gonna start by going into, I guess, my experiences with Adderall, and very quickly, and my beliefs on it, which are probably going to conflict with a lot of other people's, especially because most of the people here are, well, apparently on Adderall or some sort of amphetamine. I started taking amphetamines when I was, or Adderall, when I was like 21 after college. And yeah, you know how it feels. It's like, oh, I could just do anything. I could do it. It's like, let's just do so many things, and you get that rush, and that, especially that rush becomes quite addictive. Um, and I actually went through a phase where I was on a neurochemistry message board. And we were attempting, it was me and a bunch of really smart like guys who knew neuroscience, and our goal was to figure out how to take certain combinations of drugs called NMDA antagonists. Let's see if I can like, this is how far I've gone. NMDA antagonists with the purpose of with the purpose of preventing a tolerance from being developed to Adderall, because wouldn't it be great to just be on Adderall all the time, and for there to never be a like a tolerance that builds up. We got really deep into this. There was like it was 100-page thread. They deleted it a long time ago. We did, one of the NMDA antagonists was dextromethorphan, which is cough syrup. I do not recommend anyone try this, and it didn't work, by the way, because like it just didn't work. We were looking at a lot of mice studies too. The it, and so yeah, things went from there for me. And then I attempted to really fix my sleep, because like, I thought I had a problem. I did have a sleeping problem, which I think a lot of people have that are undiagnosed, like sleep apnea or something. I actually found the carnivore diet to get rid of my sleep apnea. And I ended up being prescribed GHB, which is the date rape drug. It's called Xyrem. It's not really a date rape drug, but you would take that, you'd fall asleep, you'd allegedly get really good sleep, and then kind of go off of that. And I would just go on and off Adderall, like, probably like a lot of people do in America. Um, it got pretty bad. At a certain point, I was doing around like I was prescribed 120 milligrams of Dexedrine every day. Um, I was literally prescribed that. Like I only take things from the pharmacy, and I'm just like, do I want my life to be like this? Like just taking, like, is there like another way? Because I'm not getting anywhere in life. Like I'm just going in circles. Like I'll have like 60 tabs open, and none of the tabs really make sense. I'm not really getting anything. Like it feels like I'm getting things done, but if I were to attempt to actually learn the thing sober, and then do the thing, I would actually like it would take me 5 or 10 times less amount of time. Um, Now you could argue that okay, I take Adderall and I can do things a lot faster. I would argue that you are experiencing something called state-dependent learning, which I did make a video about, whereby when you learn something in one state, uh, and then you attempt to recall or use that skill that you learned in that state, that like if you're not in the same state that you learned it in, then you can't recall or use it as well as you did before. And there's like hundreds of studies about this. This even gets down to the location you're at, the people you're around, like how hydrated you are, like are you live streaming or not, etc. So I haven't look at chat in a second. What kind of ended up happening for me is that I eventually experienced like a sort of a psychosis on Dexedrine. It's funny, I haven't told many people that. Now I've told everyone. And I was like, this is just stupid. Also, like, you're not, in my opinion, and this isn't. We're gonna get into like history and like conspiracies and like conspiracies and stuff and like how this all happened. And yeah, I sound a bit biased, probably because I am. But you know, I want to give you guys some food for thought. I believe that when you are on a drug such as Adderall, you're on like a wavelength. This is like a normal wavelength. I can't draw it. That's what most people are at. When you're on amphetamines, you're like this, and you can't really. I do not believe that you can't communicate with someone or vibe with them when you're not in the same state as they are, and that hinders your ability to communicate and like move forward in business or anything like that. At least this is my opinion. I'm not a doctor, but then again, I don't really care. I disagree with a lot of doctors, so F them. This is one of my theories. If you do take it, a lot of people say, oh, like like my doctor said, like I need to take amphetamines or Adderall because I was prescribed it. Well, we're going to look at the statistics as to how many people take Adderall or amphetamines in other countries in a second. And then I'm going to be like, hey, what's going on in France? They're not just slamming amphetamines. Like, why is it just the U.S.? Finally, one of the main reasons I actually came to Colombia or move countries was to get away from the American pharmaceutical system, as well as some of the beliefs that people have there. Whenever I meet an American overseas, they always will like bring their Adderall, and no one else does that. It's a little bit I would say it's a little bit off, but I mean, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna take Adderall when you're like 70? And now there is a counter argument. There is a counter thing to this. And someone might say that like Uh, like I might even sound like I'm on Adderall now or something like that. I'm not on anything. I had some espressos. In fact, I just DJ'd on top of a mountain for 5 hours, and I've already burnt like 4,500 calories today, and I'm a little exhausted. Um, the streaming just stimulates me. There's something called neuroplasticity. This is a very important, and Jesus Christ, this is an important thing. And this is like my shining star. Like what is neuroplasticity? Well, let's just kind of look that up. It's the brain's capacity to continue growing and evolving in response to life experiences. Plasticity is the capacity to be shaped, molded, or altered. Neuroplasticity then is the ability for the brain to adapt or change over time by creating new neurons and building new networks. Now, if you just kind of push yourself and do something, neuroplasticity will occur. You just have to push your brain to do it. If you're doing that in the context of taking something like an amphetamine or something that someone prescribed you, the plasticity is occurring in the context of that drug. And so my goal, or what I am doing, is to get away from everything and just push myself as hard as I can such that neuroplasticity will occur. And thusly, I can be like someone from Germany or like France or India or any other country that can work really hard and not have to take Adderall or Vyvanse. And that's my goal. Now, everyone here, a lot of people probably hate me here after this, but I'm just kind of dropping some my own thoughts. Let me look at chat for a second. Yes, okay, yo, we in here. I'm pretty sure even those who abuse amphetamines know that it's more controversial to abuse amphetamines than not. Here for the comments, I have some pretty interesting stats for you on that, actually. I'm on animal cuts right now. I started 2 days ago. Is that like a stimulant? Kevin, hello. Widespread. My tolerance is wild. Yeah, I can feel you. I know what that's like. That's why I left the U.S. It's great to be an open book. So, okay, yeah. I mean, I'm sharing my experiences, what's worked for me. One thing that's really helping me is streaming, because and that's why I'm streaming so much. This really focuses me. I'm new here. The topic grabbed my attention. Biased about what, please? Inquiries. We're gonna go through what I believe is a sort of money's, perhaps. I think it started maybe in the World Wars, and it just kind of like snowballed. And there's something to do in the pharmaceutical industry with patent laws. Hell yeah, Adderall at 70. Yeah, it took 2. Yeah, widespread. If you look in the community, section of the channel, I was asking people if they wanted to come. Also, I made a live stream about where it was going to be. No one showed up though, even though 30 people said they would. The candle that burns twice as bright lasts half as long. Yes. Try working out to get tired. Well, yeah. Occasional ketamine. I have heard that. I mean, I can't comment too much on other things that I've tried, although I've tried everything except for like microdosing LSD or ketamine therapy. However, I don't like at this point I don't feel like I need anything. I just need to get in the right context and to allow neuroplasticity to occur. Um, Philippon, you've been acknowledged. Okay, so how we gonna start this? And please, uh, feel free to chime in, guys. This is gonna be a journey for us, and I want this to be a. This is my goal for these live streams. I want this to be something that we're all kind of doing together. Even though some people may not want to like see some things, I will tell you that Adderall is a form that Shire made, a form of I guess you could say treatment for ADHD that Shire made because it's patent expired on Dexedrine, and Dexedrine is you could say superior to Adderall. The other components of Adderall have only really been tested in mice, and that's actually where the anxiety comes from. All right, Philippon. So, man, there's so much to unpack here. First use of amphetamines in wars. I mean, they're using amphetamines over in Ukraine and stuff. Maybe I shouldn't mention that topic. I had a buddy who went there and fought, and that's what he said a lot of people were kind of doing. I don't know what Pervatin is. First use of amphetamine in wars. The man with the mustache's use. Adoption of. There's going to be a transition from when they were kind of just giving people amphetamines in the wars and when the pharmaceutical companies adopted it. And you think about it, I mean, pharmaceutical companies do some good stuff, but if you manage to pass something that everyone, I mean, the culture is a little the culture of America is a little distorted in terms of ADD or ADHD, and I'm going to show you that in a second. Oh, this will be theory. Interesting. I mean, like, which happened first? The theories of ADD or ADHD, or I mean, did they just kind of come up first, and then a couple years later, did the pharmaceutical companies go like, hey, we have the solution for this, that just happened. There's this thing we found. Also, I'm not a doctor, but I'm going to say I do believe in neuroplasticity, and I also believe that like Dr. K will be like, oh, in some contexts, like, you need it. But I think that the system of teaching people in schools, and because there's various ways for people to learn about things and stuff like that, is flawed. And the way that we work is flawed, and it doesn't fit everyone. And And drugs like these are an attempt to fit everyone into being robotic. I do also believe that AI is going to help change this so it can be the robot for us. Cozy, yeah, they are. Well, I used to take side tangent. I used to take Dexedrine, and I specifically took and I would only buy this one. I specifically took a brand. I have found, and I do know the brand of what you're taking does make a difference, and I think it has to do with the time release mechanism. Okay, so I used to take. I switched from Adderall a long time ago. I don't take anything now. It's been a while. I used to take these with the orange little beads in them, and these were these are kind of difficult to find, I guess, unless you're in Canada now. You have to like special order them, and the pharmacies are like, why not just take the generic? The generics are different, and you can look up. Well, you know what? We can look it up. Let's see. What are the inactive ingredients in generic Dexedrine versus like Shire Dexedrine? Shire was the original company. If we can even find this. Well, okay, before we go off on that tangent, let me what was I gonna say? Okay. It sounds like you guys, before we go off into the Dexedrine and the generic versus the brand name stuff, we're gonna look at what Adderall actually is, and I'm gonna show you some studies so we kind of keep on track. I think you guys are gonna like this. Because there's 4 different amphetamines. My days, why'd they rebrand it? And recreationally as euphoric. Okay. Amphetamine salts. Yeah, we want to know what is in it. It looks like someone on Adderall wrote the page for Adderall on Wikipedia because they're just rambling. You guys ever go on Reddit and see someone who writes a really long post? Okay, right here. These are the ingredients in Adderall, and this is very, very important. Dextroamphetamine sulfate, amphetamine sulfate, dextroamphetamine saccharate, and amphetamine aspartate monohydrate. Now, the reason, no, you could theoretically make anything your own, but I don't know. Go watch Breaking Bad. The original Adderall was called Dexedrine, right? It was Dexedrine. What was Dexedrine? Dexedrine was just dextroamphetamine sulfate. Everything was cool. Now, you may not know this, but in the pharmaceutical industry, every 10 to 15 years that you make something, your patent expires. Can you guys read this notepad, or is it like too your patent expires? So what do you do when your patent expires and you've invested all this money and you know this thing's making lots of money because people are, well, you know why. It sells. It sells well. So now the pharmaceutical companies are like, okay, well, now people can make generics of this. We can't charge a lot for it. So what are we going to do? We're going to make Dexedrine extended release. And that's like well, the original Adderall was just little capsules of dextroamphetamine sulfate. Dexedrine extended release is this all these little capsules released at different time periods. And so they do that. Their patent expire. This is probably in like the 60s or something. They do that after like 5, 10, maybe even 5 years. 10 years happens. Move the notepad straight down. Should I increase the... Oh, I can increase the size of the text. Dexedrine extended release is created. 10 years happen or goes by, and they're like, okay, our pharmaceutical companies are like, shit, this makes a lot of money. How can we make another yeah, CJ, you may be right on that. I'm not exactly. I think Benzedrine is just dextroamphetamine sulfate, but I'm not exactly sure. Benzedrine may be a mixture of amphetamine salts, which has the isomers in it, but we'll go down that kind of. That is interesting though, because that does kind of put some stuff on our timeline. And I kind of wonder why they just, like, you could buy the, okay, so it came from the war. Okay, thank you for that, CJM. That's actually very interesting. A race mission. Do you think the race mixture was on purpose, because they could have isolated, like the Levoamphetamine doesn't have any basis in like, or you can isolate the dextro form. Okay. What was Benzedrine? Okay, he studied effects of amphetamine in 55 hospital workers who were each giving 20 milligrams of Benzedrine. Feelings of exhilaration, yeah, blah blah. And then you crash. Pet pills, minis. I think maybe they're. I'll. Okay, so it's a race mixture. I'm gonna show you guys some studies about and explain what a race mixture is, because it's very important to understand. Okay, in 1934, Smith, Klein, and French made the first amphetamine pharmaceutical when they began selling a decongestant inhaler containing the volatile amphetamine freebase under the trade name. Okay, so it was originally a decongestant inhaler. So what, then they made an oral form? So I guess benzyl methyl carbonide. Huh. Yeah, Levo. Well, there's actually, from what I found, there's Levo seems to increase the was it the parasympathetic? It's the part of the nervous system that just kind of makes you like your heart rate go up. None of the good effects. But this is actually very interesting here. Okay, we need to tab this. Sorry, we're jumping around the chat. Original formula was recent. Yeah, I'm curious why the original formula was a race mixture. But let me, for the people that don't know what a race mixture is, it contains, it's dextroamphetamine and it's levoamphetamine. And if you attempt to like kind of in the synthesis of amphetamine, you get both of these things. You get both of these because the only difference between these things are called isomers, and the only difference between them is that they are like flipped. However, that does cause them to have different effects in the body. Yeah, my camera went black. So, this is what a race mixture is. If any of you guys in the chat want to, I mean, I would assume you agree with me on what yeah, they're isomers. Via chemistry, you can remove the levoamphetamine. Perhaps they just didn't know what the effects of the levoamphetamine were at the point in time, like when Benzedrine came out. Enantiomers. It sounds like you know your chemistry. Are enantiomers? Are enantiomers isomers or? Well, irregardless, they're still basically the same molecule, but they're kind of like flipped. And correct me if I'm wrong on that. But yeah, when you do synthesize them, you get both. As far as I understand it. Okay, cool. Thank you, Elliptical Network. It's good that we have a chemist in here. Do you think that when they made Benzedrine, I mean, I haven't pulled up any PubMed studies on levoamphetamine yet. They were just, I guess they made it originally as a decongestant, And then they started to kind of like, oh, that's what happens if we eat this. Do you think they were just kind of like not knowing what they were doing really? Or do you think that they were lazy, not lazy, but they were just, they didn't have the, let's say, industrial capacity to remove the levoisomer, pending that one assumes that is the bad isomer, or the bad enantiomer. Huh. Wow. Wow. All right. So, like, if you go and you buy, if you go and you buy, like, I don't know, like, amphetamines on the street, they're gonna have both of these isomers in it. And let's start looking up what medical literature knows about levoamphetamine. No, I went. You think that they want to target a wide? That's an interesting idea. A wider range of symptomology. I think one can argue that, but also that, I mean, then you have a larger side effect profile. But let's look at, let me pull up a few studies. Let's see if we can find some stuff. Yes, and itahydra, because you're not getting MDMA. That's like you're getting racemic MDMA, I believe. The efficiency of in minimal brain dysfunction. Levoamphetamine and minimal brain dysfunction. Of 25 subjects who responded well to drugs, 3 responded only to levoamphetamine, 5 only to dextroamphetamine, and 17 to both. This is interesting. This was also done in 1976. Oh, thank you, Philippon, a lot. Thank you so much. Do you guys know of a way to, there's like a plugin that can see if there are conflicting, like the authors, and this is the bit of bias, but there might be conflicting authors. I mean, the conflicting motives from the authors. I mean, okay, let's look at this. We see this study right here. And obviously it's like, okay, yeah, it helped people in minimal brain dysfunction. I don't even know what minimal brain dysfunction is. Is that like a, I guess, well, it's from 1976. And they're like, okay, so I'm looking at this author, Arnold L.E. On the spectrum. No, just minimal brain dysfunction. It's a nicer way to say. It's a very nice way to. I guess it's a polite way to say something. Okay, double-blind cross of that. The latter child showed no improvement with either methylphenidate and dextroamphetamine were each efficacious. Dude, all this. Okay, so he showed that there is some efficiency. Like, I feel the hole opening up, and this now the guy's probably has another study, and another study that shows X. This helps. This helps. The slight improvement with caffeine, it was not significantly better than what the fuck? Weird. Levoamphetamine and dextroamphetamine comparative efficiency. Yeah, all these papers like to conflict, and then, I mean, I do have something that can kind of like organize them all. A comparison of dextroamphetamine and racemethamphetamine. Let's pop open some things. It was okay with side effects about the same in some cases. In some cases, the amphetamine with levo and dextro was superior to both dextroamphetamine and methylphenidate. In 20 cases, improvement was about the same for both. I'm kind of curious what they're also measuring here. And that's why we have Sci-Hub. Screw you guys. An unsocialized aggressive group. Those who responded best to levoamphetamine tended not significantly to be from poor functioning families. I don't know, this is old research. Amphetamine toxicity, okay. What should we look up? Levoamphetamine and like levoamphetamine and I don't know. performance. It's almost like it's hard to find anything. Oh, Ecliptic Finder, which one? Not that one. The one on... where was it? I think it was this one. Here's the link to it, Ecliptic. What I'm curious, yeah, so if you can get the full text of that, that'd be awesome. I used to have a Harvard account that I don't know. I signed up for a course and I didn't pay for it, and they gave me a Harvard ID and I got free papers. Since then, they have closed that loophole, though. One thing I want to do is look up okay, this is interesting. There are a limited number of studies specifically examining the effects of levoamphetamine on mental performance in humans. However, some research suggests potential benefits. A combination of dextroamphetamine enhanced cognitive performance in healthy adults. What? With pediatric pharma. This might. Okay, what I'm trying to kind of get at here is that I'm having difficulty finding information that says that there are cognitive benefits for levoamphetamine, which is in Adderall. I didn't lose you guys, did I? Like, you're still there? Because we started to get a little bit deep. In order to determine whether L-amphetamine and okay, cool. So right now we are trying to determine if levoamphetamine and when and the components of Adderall. Whenever they say like it just amphetamine, it means, from what I understand, it's a mixture of dextro and levoamphetamine. So like they'll say amphetamine salts. And the reason they in Adderall did do this is because these chemicals, and I'll find the paper, just because these chemicals are these forms of amphetamine release at different times in the body, like this sort of chemical time release mechanism. However, at the same time, they have different effects in the body as well. Like levoamphetamine does something different than dextroamphetamine. I know there's this one, like, there's a study in mice here. It's like cool. Potent memory enhancers in rats and may ultimately be useful for treating memory disorders in humans. Oh, look, Epstein. I was just going over a bunch of crap. Ooh. Oh, I think this is what I was looking for. Okay, this is the original. I think this is the original article where they just tested Adderall because their patent ran out, and they say something very interesting here. Space Sleepyhead, I would say that it's a bit of a tricky question because taking the medications makes you feel that it's having a positive benefit on your life. Like it kind of it colors it. And that's kind of a hard question to say. Like it's also difficult because there's so many. It's like a cultural phenomenon in the United States. Ecliptic, if you're able to send over like the full text, or if you just want to paraphrase it, that'd be great. I think in part 2 of this, I'm going to be a little bit more organized, but this is going to be a very important this one right here is going to be a very, very, very important one. Okay. Okay. So if you're... When did Adderall come out? Adderall was first introduced in 1996. Interesting. So there's like a time lag. Adderall was first introduced in 1996. So there's one study where they compare Dexedrine to children. In children they compared dextroamphetamine to Adderall, and at the end they just kind of like they just go Adderall was better just because. And I remember reading that study, and I really want to find it. Okay, here's something very significant. Despite in adults with ADHD, blah, 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 despite the well-documented efficiency of efficacy of stimulant drugs in the treatment of ADHD, their short duration of action commonly requires a 3 times daily dosing schedule to obtain a day-long clinical effect. I want to really emphasize the fact that this paper says this right here. It's from 2001. And the reason I want to emphasize that is because there was already something on the market called Dexedrine extended release, which meant that this doesn't, there's no need for this. You don't need something else. You don't need something else that has extended release effects because you already have something that has extended release effects. My theory here is that, okay, Adderall was first introduced in 1996. They're probably going through the studies with that. The patent for Dexedrine extended release expired in the early 2000s. So they needed something new. Adderall, that's another 10, 15 years. And they didn't, what they're referencing here is dextroamphetamine instant release. Yeah, okay, taking it 3 times a day. Yeah, but you don't need that. Okay, let's say that. However, few studies have examined effectiveness beyond 4 hours. Okay, while relatively long-acting Pemamine? It's like they just, okay, there are extended release preparations available for Ritalin and dextroamphetamine. And they're just like, well, dextroamphetamine extended release might be more like consistent, but there just aren't many studies that kind of look at it after 4 hours. So fuck that. And by the way, an additional longer acting amphetamine product an additional, like, they just jump here. An additional longer acting amphetamine product is mixed amphetamine salts compounds, Adderall. Adderall consists of this was definitely, like, there's contamination with the authors here. They're like, oh, there's these things, but by the way, Adderall. Recent controlled studies in children have reported that Adderall is as effective as methylphenidate immediate release in the improvement of behavior in the classroom and recreation settings, and an increased academic performance, and that the time course of response is longer. Yeah, I mean, you're giving them something different, though. Blah, blah. These results extend to amphetamines. Other findings documenting a highly similar pattern of drug response. Yeah, I could feel on higher doses of Adderall, I could feel it for days too. Well, yeah. Then you start taking downers, and then it's just, then you get in a nice cycle, and then you're like, what am I doing? I look like I haven't slept in weeks. I can show you my Whoop app. Although the duration of drug action, it was not measured directly or results. Boom. Boom. This. I'm going to leave this on the screen right here. Everyone take a good look at this. This study about Adderall was supported in part by funding from Shire, which is the original creator of Adderall, and Grant XSX from National Institutes of Mental Health. So they're not going to... That's interesting. I would have thought Shire would have had... I didn't realize GlaxoSmithKline was the one who owned that patent for Adderall. But, I mean, let's say you're even your competitor of GlaxoSmithKline in terms of. By the way, is my camera on? It is. Good. You're a competitor in terms of you're like, oh, my competitor's making a ton of money from selling these amphetamines to people. Why don't we make our own? Because if you remember, the patent for Dexedrine expired in the early 2000s. So if their competitor, Shire, wanted to get in on the money for get in on all the money that Adderall or amphetamines were generating for them, then they'd make their own version and then say it's better. And that's exactly what they did here. It's really. I think that might be out of the scope of what I'm going to cover today. Because then we're introducing like another player. I mean, it's still a stimulant, and I kind of want to go over like where did the diagnosis of ADD or ADHD come from originally anyway. And drug walls. Yeah, the levoamphetamine. There just doesn't seem to be much research on like levoamphetamine, and the big thing I'm trying to show here is that there is a market reason for a new amphetamine product to come out. The components of that product were of Adderall were dextroamphetamine sulfate, amphetamine sulfate. So and more dextro and levoamphetamine, and these different forms of amphetamine, like they were originally. This is the key paper. They were originally meant and put in those chemical forms. I think this espresso is going to keep me up. These will be part 2 and part 3. I'll likely post a video about some space thing or something soon as well. Anyways, thank you guys. We're going to do part 2 soon. And thanks a lot, Ecliptic. I will see you guys later. You guys who just took Adderall, I guess you're going to be up for a bit. What's it called? Approximately 3 to 1% dextro level mixture in Adderall. I mean, do we have studies? Well then, okay, Ecliptic. If that is If that's true, have you taken Dexedrine and also taken Adderall? Because if so, I would ask you, did they feel different? Conflict of interest. All right. Thank you guys. This has been actually one of the most successful streams. Awesome. I guess I've kind of hit a bit of a chord here. Anyways, I will see you guys later. Hopefully, I didn't go all over the map here. There's just so much to say. It feels a lot different, Ecliptic. Like it's a lot smoother, and you don't get like that kick, like Adderall does. Also, the brand name, in my experience, makes a tremendous difference. And I don't think I'm the only person. Oh, let's make that part. Let's make that part. Man, someone is smashing that heart button. But thank you. I'll hit it too. All right. Thanks a ton, guys. And yeah,